GamingBolt presents 15 video game companies that got shut down despite making great games. We've seen over the years that no matter how many great games a company makes, that doesn't mean they're ever completely safe. It's a harsh reality of the video games industry, and there have been numerous examples to back that up. No one likes it when it happens, but there are times when beloved companies just cannot keep their doors open any longer due to one reason or another, and as such are forced to shut down, taking all of their popular properties and franchises with them. In this feature, we're going to take a look at 15 game companies that got shut down despite having made some great games through the years. THQ. With franchises such as Saints Row, Darksiders, and Homefront under their banners, their shuttering was the last thing anyone could have wanted. But it happened, and it stung. THQ made a number of great games over the years, but due to financial issues, the company had to be shut down, and layoffs, flagship releases, and major sales could do nothing to prevent that. THQ and all of their remaining franchises now live on as THQ Nordic, after their rights were purchased in 2013, so at least there's solace in the fact that they live on in some form. Ensemble Studios. Ensemble Studios were truly one of the greatest real-time strategy developers ever. Having made great games such as Age of Empires and all of its sequels, Age of Mythology, Halo Wars, and Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, Ensemble had firmly established themselves as the leaders of the genre. That, however, could not help keep their doors open. After a number of layoffs, Microsoft shut down Ensemble in 2009. Here's hoping that someday we'll get to see a proper Age of Empires sequel anyways. LIONHEAD Studios. Here's another great studio that got shut down by Microsoft. Led by Peter Molyneux, LIONHEAD Studios made great games such as Black and White, though they were known primarily for the Fable series, which received notable acclaim with its first two releases. However, in 2016, Fable Legends, which had been in development for a number of years, was cancelled by Microsoft and the studio was shut down. Guerrilla Cambridge. Known as Millennium Interactive back in the day, this development team was known for developing some major PlayStation games such as the Frogger remake, the hack-and-slash Medieval series, the PSP version of Little Big Planet, and more. They were purchased by Sony in 1997 and eventually were merged with Guerrilla Games to aid in the development of the Killzone titles, and came to be known as Guerrilla Cambridge. In January of 2017, the studio was shut down by Sony, and the excellent Killzone Mercenary and Riggs on the PS4 were the last notable games they worked on. Maxis Emeryville. The contributions of Maxis to the games industry are massive. Major titles such as The Sims, SimCity, and all of the sequels were all Maxis games. In an organization restructuring in 2015, most of Maxis employees were moved to other studios, and Maxis Emeryville, the studio behind Sims and SimCity, was shut down. Both Sims and SimCity did admittedly suffer major deteriorations in quality with their final releases, but their legacy will never be diminished or forgotten. Bizarre Creations. Bizarre Creations were known for having worked on popular franchises such as Geometry Wars and Project Gotham Racing, while also working on other notable releases like Blur and Bloodstone. While the rights to Project Gotham Racing franchise remained with Microsoft, Bizarre were acquired by Activision in 2007. However, 3 years later, they decided to sell the studio once more. No buyers were found, sadly enough, and Activision had to shut down Bizarre Creations. What a waste. Silicon Knights. The Canadian developers were known for having developed some excellent games, such as the very first Legacy of Kain title and the excellent GameCube survival horror game Eternal Darkness. However, due to major losses in legal proceedings, most notably against Epic Games, the company faced several financial losses and were eventually forced to shut down in 2014. It's bad enough that that happened, but to think that we will never get to see games like Eternal Darkness 2 or Too Human 2 makes it even worse. Psygnosis. Destruction Derby, Formula 1, Wipeout. When you look at their record and all of the games they worked on throughout the years, you can't help but wonder how or why they ever got shut down. It was tragic, really. They were acquired by Sony in 1993, and in 2000 they changed their branding from Psygnosis to Studio Liverpool, and they continued to make a number of great games for years after that. But in 2012, the studio was shut down by Sony. It was a real shame, especially considering their massive legacy. But we can take pause in the fact that some of their franchises, such as Wipeout, may and probably will still live on under Sony. Acclaim Entertainment. There was once a time when Acclaim were truly one of the biggest names in the video games industry. When you think of games and franchises that were owned or pioneered by them, it becomes very hard to believe that they had to be shut down. Turok, Mortal Kombat, Burnout, and a number of major licensed releases such as Batman and Spider-Man. Their legacy was truly astonishing. They had to file for bankruptcy and close their doors in 2004, and thinking of all the games that they had worked on, their shuttering is probably one of the saddest we can think of. Free Radical Design. Free Radical Design were the developers and creators of the widely popular first-person shooter Time Splitter series. Their shutdown was truly tragic because essentially, it was just the result of a series of unfortunate events. Free Radical had been working on Star Wars Battlefront 3 from 2006 to 2008, and even though the game was almost completely developed, the project had to be cancelled. This, along with the poor reception to Haze, meant that they had suffered major financial losses and went bankrupt. They were eventually acquired by Crytek, but due to continued layoffs and financial issues, they were eventually shut down in 2014. Zipper Interactive. Zipper Interactive made a number of great shooters over the years. One of their first notable releases was Mech Warrior 3, a rough but great game. But it was the SOCOM US Navy SEAL series that they will be forever remembered for. Spanning across 3 systems, the SOCOM series gave us a number of great games. Zipper also went on to work on such titles as 2010's MAG and the PS Vita's Unit 13. They were eventually shut down by Sony in 2012. Evolution Studios. Anyone who is a fan of the racing genre will know how much this hurt. Evolution Studios were the people behind the WRC games on the PS2, also having created and worked on the excellent MotorStorm series, as well as 2014's Drive Club. The need to focus on Drive Club resulted in Evolution being hit with several layoffs before being shut down by Sony in 2016. Thankfully, the people working at Evolution joined Codemasters that very year, meaning that in essence, the spirit of Evolution will live on. Pandemic Studios. Pandemic worked on so many memorable titles while they were still active. They created and developed franchises such as Mercenaries and Destroy All Humans, while also having developed the excellent Star Wars Battlefront and Battlefront 2, the originals. Pandemic were acquired by EA along with BioWare in 2008, but after major layoffs over the next year, they were shut down by EA. BULLFROG Productions. Yeah, so that's 2 Peter Molyneux studios in the same list. BULLFROG Productions were known for the classics such as Syndicate, Dungeon Keeper, and Populous. After their acquisition by EA, Molyneux left the studio in 1998 to found LIONHEAD Studios, and we know how that ended. And things were never the same after that. BULLFROG made a number of great games after that, but were eventually shut down in 2001. Neversoft. Neversoft made some truly great games throughout their history, from Spider-Man in 2000 to the entire Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series to a number of Guitar Hero games after the franchise was acquired by Activision in 2006. Neversoft was eventually merged with Infinity Ward in 2014, where they helped with the development of Call of Duty Ghosts. They were later shut down as a separate studio that very year. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.